Hey, Pop,
What's the plan here?
we're bringing you home.
Care to bless it?
Oh, dear God, I beg you for patience. That's pretty much it. Amen.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Awards Tour podcast. I'm here today with the star of Landman Season 2, Ali Larter. Thank you for being here,
So
Ali.
happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
First of all, I will say you have been on our screens literally for years, but I feel this character just really was a shot out of anything that I could have ever imagined that you were doing.
Yeah.
Talk about how the character came to you, because I really do feel whatever she was on the page, you've elevated that so much more.
Well, thank you for that. You know, it started out, I've talked about it a lot. It was a very long, arduous audition process for me. But from the first time I got those 4 pages, I saw this woman who was vulnerable, but she was in love with her husband, but she had to get him back. Like, it was just like complicated and messy in this way that I'm always drawn to characters that, like, their flaws and how they overcome them are what attracts me to someone, right? And trying to figure that out. And this, you know, Angela, with her passion and her, you know, how fierce she is as a mother, was something that I was interested in. And then going through the process to getting the role, and then watching Taylor start to write for me. Because a lot of the actors on the show have that incredible gift. You know, Billy and Demi and Andy and most people that, you know, on 1883, Sam Elliott, you know, like, in his world, if you are like this kind of icon, he's going to write for you. And I've had such an interesting trajectory in this industry where I've had extreme success, and it's been so amazing. And I've also had times where I'm like, I want to be a mom. Yeah. And like, you know, like, how do you balance out having this lifelong career with a business that's extraordinarily unstable?
Yeah.
But this role then came around and Taylor started writing for me, and I wanted her to feel, I know this might sound crazy to you, but for me, my whole job was grounding her.
Yeah.
Because she is so crazy in the way that she behaves in life, sometimes the way she breaks the rules, and her kind of like abundance of joy for the way that she walks through the world. That was something for me of going, okay, let's figure out why this is why, like, what has happened to this woman that gives her the right to think that she can do that? You know, like, and
Fair.
because I'm a rule follower.
That's
and
fair.
She's not. And so it was going back to like always understanding, you know, where she's from in West Texas.
Yeah.
And that she really went through the boom and the bust.
Yeah.
You know, with Tommy. And so she saw what it was like to be married to an alcoholic with 2 young children, and she didn't go to finish high school. You know, she doesn't have a college degree.
I mean, this is a girl that you met at literally at a bar.
You know,
what I mean?
so so for her, it was like marrying this other man, and which changed her world, I think, financially, and she was able to support her children. But what came out of that was going, what is life to me? And she's almost like, it was like a coming home for her, you know, and that's where we find her.
And emotionally, probably no older than she was when she broke up with Tommy.
Probably
right? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I actually noticed about her, is like, there wasn't a need to mature after that husband,
Like
right?
an arrested adolescence.
Very much so.
For sure.
One of the things I really loved about the character, though, was, I don't know if this is when you're talking about as far as the writing for him, but the episode where you started dealing with the old folks' home. Yeah. That's where I really sort of saw, I'd seen in glimpses of it, like when she was talking about them losing everything. Yeah. You know, that was a scene where I was like, I see that. But when she did the old folks' home, I'm like, oh, I get this now. I understand her, and I understand that she brings this level of audacity to good things as well as
beautiful.
The shenanigans.
Thank you for seeing that, because I think that that's what's brilliant in Taylor's writing. He's not going to give it to you the first episode. He's taking you on a journey with these characters, you know, and we're not supposed to show you everything each day. You know, we have moments where we just have a bad fucking day, you know, and it's like, and it's not going to play out just because it's supposed to be that way in a script. You know, he doesn't write like that. And he always knew that was going to be in there because that's inspired by his wife.
Oh, wow.
We actually shoot at the old folks home that Nicole, you know, goes and volunteers at.
Oh, wow.
She brings cocktails. I mean, she does it. And so it's something about going there and kind of honoring the truth of how much I think it's impacted her life. And then for me, seizing on the moment of going, you can really see Angela through this, because she doesn't care who's watching. You know, she truthfully is like, this doesn't feel right. What can I do about it to make their life better? And so, like, as fierce as she can be is also as like fun and fearless, you know, like it's those two things.
And then always mothering. I will
Yeah.
say, for as many of the like, you know, I'm gonna cry the minute I walk into his hospital room and make it a little bit more about me, she's
Hard day.
also, I feel very accurately when you talk about her and her daughter. Because I will say this as someone that grew up in Texas. She is an, I think, different version of this. A lot of the women that I would see like this, they were actually the alt girls that ended up in the trophy club. So like their rebellion was against the sort of like higher heels, bigger hair, closer to God girls. That would be what that looked like in real life.
Totally.
But what I would say is the audacity is not the issue. It's just maybe the details. So
it's also where in Texas you are.
Yes, Dallas.
So that is like, you know, what it is. And it's like when people are coming out, because I'm down there filming, and like Sundays, I mean, everyone's going to church and everyone is dressed, and the girls have had their hair blown out, and then the mimosas are flowing by 11 a.m. And it is on, and it's a whole look. And for me, that was really interesting because I've done movies in Austin, but never in Fort Worth. And it's an incredibly specific place, you know, meaning that, you know, it's real oil. You know, there's real ranches there. It's real Texas. It's not even like just the bougie version of what Dallas is.
Yes.
Fort Worth is, it's kind of like, I don't know, maybe one of the most authentic places in all of Texas, because the real people live there, you know? And so to be able to be there filming and have a chance to be around a lot of these women who have the private planes, who have all these things, and the ones that came up with oil money, you know, that Angela is friends with, but she never wants to be like. You know, she's not like Cammie. That's not Angela. She's like kind of wrong side of the tracks, but she's gonna find a way to make it fabulous.
One of my really dear friends, Ree, she actually lived in Trophy Club, which is one of those communities outside of Fort Worth. And so I think as somebody who maybe was not a part of that group, she like taught me what that was. But what I was gonna say is that she's still always a mom. And I do think you bring a lot of humanity to the mother moments within this one. But I'm curious for you, how much of that is on the page? How much do you add into it? And how much conversation did you have about that? Because I think as a mom, it's important to you that she feels accurate as that.
Yeah, I mean, look, becoming a mother has informed every choice and every role that I've ever had since then. It's been, for me, like my greatest accomplishment. And so, and also the most painful things in life come from being a mother too, and how something you love so much, something could happen to, and like there's all this kind of, you know, wealth of emotions that come from raising a child. For this role specifically, my daughter's much younger, and I have nothing like this kind of relationship. But the way that me and Michelle kind of found it, well, it was similar to also how like Billy and I kind of found our connection, was truthfully about spending time together and finding our common threads. Oh, wow. Because it's one thing what's on the page, but if we are not able to find what's truthful in our relationship, you're gonna see that on screen. And that's just how I am as an actor. It's finding like the threads within inside myself that I can align with this character, and then building it out through like the emotion of it. So it's like working with my acting coach and going, okay, that's the same thing I feel here. I can put that feeling into this scene. So, you know, it's very, very active. It's always about like active emotions for me. So with Michelle, we got down there for the first season and there was like no hand holding. We were waiting for weeks in our hotel. Then we were in apartments. You know, it was terrifying when we started. It was just, you know, a huge crew, no rehearsals. It was like my first scene was coming off the plane and it was action. I was just waiting on the airplane in action, and I've never in my life not done blocking, walked right in, did the scene. It was wild. You know, Taylor was on like the megaphone, you know, and so it was really this high pressure thing. And I think that we had each other. And so we organically formed a friendship through like, oh my gosh, like what is this world that we just walked into? And then from there, like, you know, after a couple months of filming, you kind of find your footing and you go, okay, I know some of the crew. Okay, like, I'm like, my kids are now actually flying down every week. I'm gonna be okay emotionally. Like, we were all just figuring it out. And then that starts to bleed even deeper into the character. And I think that's the joy in doing television versus film, because it continues to evolve and unfold. And they're like, whatever is happening between us, we're gonna find a way to feed into the writing and kind of lift it off the page.
Oh, I love that. She has so many incredible scenes. I would say just her scenes in the house with the male dynamic that she completely disrupts her.
Yes, of course.
But really, your main scene partner is Billy Bob Thornton. And I love how you were talking about how you had to find commonality with him. What was that thread? Y'all's chemistry and dynamic is perfectly perfect. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, it is the type of chemistry that it's supposed to be, which is like, oh, this is going to be fun to watch.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. I mean, I think that when I first read the script, even I was auditioning for it, I was playing against what was on the page, because there was definitely, it was a caustic relationship. They were much more fierce, and it was just a little nasty. And because Taylor didn't write this for me, it was like, how, I don't want to play that. And like, this isn't Beth, you know? Like, it's like, this is a very different woman who has had different things happen to her in her life. And also, what kind of woman, you know, as I see how she is with her children, and as is unfolding, felt real to me. And I wanted their relationship to be something like the first true love, you know, that you can never let go of. And you have to sometimes lose that love and make choices in your life to survive, but you never forget them. And so coming back to it, I always thought, you know, with Tommy and Angela, they can say things to each other that are like so honest that other people can't tell them. Like, they can truly hear each other, and then in that way can almost make them laugh because they hold a mirror up to themselves.
Yes.
And that, I think, that's something I found in our relationship. And obviously getting to work with Billy Bob Thornton is an extraordinary honor. He's just, there's one of him, he's the best of the best. He really, we never move on if we don't have the scene. We've been asked to do some crazy outlandish stuff.
We've seen a lot of it.
Like episode 7, season 2, we were like, how are we doing this? But we find it because we found what the relationship is. And when you know what something is, you can go anywhere. You can drop us anywhere because we know what our dynamic is.
And they do drop you in a lot of interesting places in season 2. To that end, because I think a lot of folks have caught up with it, or I hope you have, because it is just as explosive. It's got me very anxious for season 3.
Thank you.
What was your favorite Angela moment in season 2?
Oh, definitely the finale.
Definitely the finale.
The last scene, the last scene of episode 10, because I so rarely get to do those scenes.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of what I do on the show is to bring humor to break certain tension, or I do have like very high moments of drama, you know, between Tommy and Angela, and there's all these different tones which you never see in a show, and it really pushes me as an actor, you know, because you have to understand that, like, the symphony of our show and where it's needed, because that's the vision that Taylor has. So it's always staying within our world of Landman, but it's playing like this, you know, and so it's tracking that and understanding what the next scene is and what's needed for our story to flow the way that it flows. But when I get to do those just really honest, really just quiet scenes with Billy, those are my favorite. I mean, I think it was one take, we did it. It just was just easy, you know, like the wind was blowing, the sun was setting, you know, we had one take, and I'm just like, I also loved the dialogue that Taylor had written.
It was really beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, there's a love story that's throughout this. There's the one that I think everyone focuses in on, and that's Cooper and Ariana, but their love story is just as big and just as important. You mentioned Taylor, and that was going to be my last question to ask about him. He is a man who puts enough of his words on the page that he doesn't feel he needs to give his words in other things. But I will ask you, what is the most surprising thing about the dynamic that he creates on his sets that folks would be surprised about, because he would never tell us? Sorry, Taylor. Anytime you want to talk to me,
I think it's very rare for anyone to trust the actor. And he casts the people that he wants in the role, and he sets you free. And there's not a lot of people that are controlling him. So I think it's been so extraordinary how he's been able to build his career to get to that place of power where there aren't 15 people weighing in on how I deliver a line.
That's great.
You know, and so I think giving freedom to the actor is what I feel he gives is the most incredible thing. And he sets us up, and then he sets you off with great trust.
Love that.
And good dialogue.
Very good dialogue. Everybody talks about your career, and don't get me wrong, as a girl from Texas, I love Varsity Blues, but there's a movie that I've actually wanted to be talking to you about that I feel like less people talk about it, unless they're people like me.
Okay.
Obsessed.
Okay.
Girl.
Yeah.
Like, I feel that not enough is said about how good you are in that movie, what that movie means. Like, do you just assume if it's a black lady of somewhat of my age coming up to talk to you, she's probably gonna be talking to you about Obsessed? Is that the assumption? I'm sorry.
It's definitely not. Okay, I'll start there. But you know, that is when I was shooting Heroes at the exact same time that I shot Obsessed. And I was working with this acting coach, Ivana Chubbuck, who Beyonce was also working with.
Wow.
So we had her on set with us. And when you play that kind of character who's crazy, you don't play crazy. So I literally would have, if you saw my script, it's what Lisa would say, and then it's what I was thinking. So I not only memorized the lines, I memorized an idea of what she was hearing in her head so that I could have an honest reaction to what he was saying, to what Idris was saying.
So
do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, so she's not listening, she's just making.
It was full substitution so that I could make, that to me was how I made her believably real, like, and crazy in her own way.
She was believably. Like, I'm not gonna lie
like
to
in
you.
the way of doing that kind of, and it's a campy movie. I mean, we know what
so
it is,
good.
and it's like, it's a crowd pleaser. But there's still the work that goes in to be able to making that. You know, it's not like that is less work than anything else.
Got you.
You know, I mean, I put in the same amount of work, dependent, it doesn't matter if I'm doing TV or film, the size of the role, it doesn't matter. I mean, the same work goes in. It's a process. I mean, what we do is a craft.
Oh, I know that, but I'm sorry, like the thought of how much you put into what some people would consider just no offense, a campy, show up role. The fact that you were doing that while you're filming Heroes, not an easy production also to do, that is even more incredible. What's your favorite memory from that set though? That was my question.
I mean, probably hanging from the chandelier, you know, I mean.
They let you do it.
They let me do it. I've always done most of my own stunts. I mean, in all the Resident Evils, it's something that I love to do because I'm such an active person. I'm very athletic, and I love, any kind of high stakes kind of fun like that in a safe environment.
Yeah.
Idris was also, I think, an extraordinary scene partner, and he was great to me on set. And so I think probably just getting to work with him, and Beyonce was kind of in character, like she was.
And you didn't have as much with her. It was more about terrorizing him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so he was great, and I was thinking like Jerry O'Connell might have been in it too.
I think you're right.
But anyway, I was happy to have the opportunity. That's the thing too, for like the show to make the time for me to get out to shoot like days into nights and on weekends, and like those are the things too where you're like, oh my gosh, thank you for giving me the opportunity. Because it's so rare, well, actually, it's so often in an actor's career where opportunities come and you're not available.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, if I had only had this time to do this, because when they come, it's so, so special. So I was just really happy to get to shoot it, to be honest, too.
I dig that.
Yeah.
Well, with that in mind, I'm saying that because in my like group of like Black women, that is like up there with like the top. Like it's just a watch that we always talk about, and we always are like, oh, there's scenes from it that we quote. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong, you have so many hits, Legally Blonde, Heroes, like so many others. Is there one of the films that you've done or one of the TV shows that you've done that when folks come up to you, it warms your heart a little bit more because it's a bit of a deeper cut, but it's one that's special to you?
So many of my daughter's friends are watching The Rookie, which is random.
Yes.
Which is like, whatever.
They like those comfort shows.
It's fun for me when people actually get joy out of my work. Like that's fun. I'm about to go to New York for the 25th anniversary of Legally Blonde, which is crazy.
That is not accurate. It's not been that long.
It's details to unfold. It's happening in live time. But it's that, to me, I think will always be like the pinnacle, one of those moments in my career where it was the first time Robert Luketic, he hired me where I got to do comedy. And, and then you kind of get put in a lane. Like that's just what this business does. And you have to constantly reinvent yourself from doing each movie, and after you have a child, and it's just like, it has no memory, this industry. It's a constant fight back. I think of it as like being on a carousel, and like if you hop off, like you have to like sprint and grab it at the right place to get back on, because this business is, it's so unstable and unpredictable.
Very much so, and continues to be so. But you have the beauty, I think, to be a part of this Taylor Sheridan universe that he's been a part of, which, to your point, he has written some incredible roles from some icons, Billy Bob Thornton, all the folks from Yellowstone, but even more recently with stuff like the Madison. And it just
Madison's beautiful.
Keeps getting bigger and bigger. If I had to ask you, if you could draft one of the other persons that are a part of the Sheridan-averse into Landman, who would you like to see maybe show up? Obviously, they would not be playing the role.
It's so funny. Everyone was like, what do you think about like a Dutton Ranch crossover? That's not my thing.
No, but who would you maybe,
not like a Dutton Ranch. I am like,
just
Landman is his own universe. I'm like, we are good. Like, please don't do that to us.
But is there anybody you'd like to work with, like Michelle or even?
Well, of course. There's no question. I would dream of working with Michelle. Kelly Riley is just a fantastic woman, and she's brilliant on the show. So in different roles.
Yes.
That's for sure. Helen Mirren. Harrison Ford. But I have to say, like, even on our show, from James Jordan, I get to work with. Like, there's such gifted actors on our set that make everyone else look better.
Yeah.
You know, like, everyone's building each other up, and you don't, you know, being in this business a long time, you have people that come in and try to like ruin a scene. And that's real, you know, or like mess up an eye line. Like, it's just, and you just go, no, like, that's not what we're doing. We're so blessed to be able to do this and be part of this incredible industry. So on our set, I'm like, I feel like I have the plethora of riches there. They're amazing.
You do have a plethora of riches. You are a comedic force, let's be real, in a lot of this, which means that you have to do a bunch of outlandish things, but it also means you have some pretty epic one-liners. You have some pretty epic quips that I'm just like, every time, because I would say between you and Michelle, the other characters, like, they all have like just stuff where I think they just do it to bug Billy Bob's character. You know, they just do it to make him just completely uncomfortable.
For sure.
Do you have a favorite?
I don't have a favorite line, but I think that what was incredible about season 2 was Taylor bringing in Sam Elliott, because so much of it is like we're driving Tommy crazy, you know, or annoying him or whatever. And it was like, we're like, God, me and Michelle were like, God, can we just, someone see our value? You see my value. And then in comes, you know, as Taylor knew that he was going to do this, Sam Elliott, who's like, no, I see them. She's going to bring, you know, she's going to bring the grandfather back into the house and, you know, save this family and show what her values are. And like, but I don't have to do it. He put it in Sam's character, and then I get to express through that. So those are the things that I just love to do. There's some crazy one lines. I mean, grab life by the balls and squeeze. Like, there's some of that kind of stuff.
No, but I didn't mention Sam Elliott because he's just incredible in everything.
Yeah.
But yeah. What was it like adding his dynamic this season? Like,
the best. Everyone is so grateful to be there. It's not an ego-driven set. It is like all hands on deck. How can I be of help? What's going on? And it makes the scenes, it creates an incredibly relaxed environment, which wasn't how the set started, but now it really is. And so we're just in a flow state. And I always have to talk about our incredible director, Stephen Kay, because, you know, Taylor handed the reins to him to do all 10 episodes. And it's just, he has this way of any scene, if you're bumping on any moment of going, try this or think about it that way. And he's such an extraordinary director who, I think he has like 90 personalities, because he can like act all of us out. And then like he starts talking like Angela, and then he starts acting like Michelle, and then he does like Billy, and then he's Sam. And it's like, he like embodies all of these different characters. And it just kind of makes this show so seamless. And that's definitely his hands all over it.
I love it so much. And again, I think that folks should check out your character. They should check out the show because
Thank you.
I feel like it's a big hit. Yeah. But I do feel like it's a hit that needs to have, I think, better word of mouth, because I just think a lot of people could just tune in. It is my favorite soap opera with oil.
Yes, all right, I'll take it. Thank you.
Miss Ali Larter, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations, and we'll see you next time.
You got it.